Welcome to part 5 of my free online beginner's tarot course, the Learn Tarot series. I'm so excited to teach you how to read tarot without having to memorize a bunch of meanings, a bunch of keywords, a bunch of esoteric elusive concepts. In only a couple techniques, you'll be reading for yourself and others in no time. Today, we will be looking at the suit of Pentacles. So get your cards out, get your journal out, and let's resume where we left off. To quickly review the elements, we have fire, which is the subject, water, which is the object, air, which is the identification that emerges between the two, hashtag the sacred marriage, divine marriage, all of that. And then that self-concept, that identification that arises between fire and water, which is air, is the microcosm, the mind, and that mind carves out reality into physical things, into the actual substance of the real world, matter. Remember, matter is really meter. All matter is really measurement. So if you haven't watched my previous videos, remember this is class 5, so go and watch them. And if you haven't downloaded this yet, you can download this free Learn Tarot beginner course workbook. This is the workbook we'll be using for all the classes, and it has space to write in and journal out what you learn. So this will be with you for life. I can't recommend it enough. Start your tarot journal now. My tarot journal is decades old. It's like multiple books long, and it's a whole tome and a half at this point. So today we'll be looking at the suit of Pentacles. The suit of Pentacles represents the element of earth, and as you've learned in the past videos, earth is all about matter. It's all about stuff. It's all about the body. It's also about money and wealth and wellness. And let me tell you right now, if you are watching this video, if you are interested in tarot, the chances are you need some earth element. You need some grounding. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. Spiritual people like you and me, we're so up in the air into the spiritual, hopscotching the tree of life and exploring various aeons and other worlds, and we love it. I totally love it, but we a lot of times need to ground. So I remember growing up, the suit of Pentacles was my least favorite suit. It was the suit I understood the least because I was the least grounded. How fun is that? So let's ground ourselves, take a deep breath, and let's start the suit of Pentacles. Oh wait, I forgot something. Before we start the suit of Pentacles, let's review the technique that you can use to understand the meanings of the cards without memorizing a bunch of arbitrary keywords. So here's the technique. Number 1, notice the suit symbol and recall the meaning of its associated elements. So today we're studying the suit of Pentacles. The suit of Pentacles represents earth, and earth represents all things related to matter, money, body, stuff, all that good stuff. All right. Number 2, notice the scene. How do the people, places, or things in the card interact with the suit symbol? Okay, that's step number 2. How are the people, the places, the things interacting with the actual pentacles that we see on the card? Step number 3, this symbolizes how they interact with the element and leads to the meaning of the cards. So however the pentacles are interacting with the scene is how earth, money, matter, body, wellness, wealth, all that are interacting with the questioner. So let's start with our Ace of Pentacles. Like every other ace, we see the hand of the ultimate truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God, consciousness, the source, the absolute, coming out and gifting you a pentacle. And this is an interesting card because this is the only ace that doesn't have these little squiggly dots. What are these squiggly dots? They're yods, they're Hebrew yods. And the Hebrew yod is the source code of the entire Hebrew alphabet. It's a flame, and this card is without them. Now, you might ask me why, and to really go into the detail, I'd have to train you in all the esoteric and Kabbalistic material, but a short answer is because being that this card is the furthest down of the elements, it's the lowest of the element, it's the very last element, it is, in a way, farthest from spirit. It is the most material, and so we don't see the yods as we would see in the Ace of Swords, Cups, or Ace of Wands. But what we do see is this beautiful archway. And every time we see an archway in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it is a nod to birth and death. It is a nod to the traveling from spirit into matter, or the return from matter into spirit. So in the Ace of Pentacles, the ultimate consciousness, the ultimate absolute, is gifting, symbolically through the hand, the gift of matter, the gift of embodiment, the gift of sensation, even the gift of abundance and wealth and all that good stuff. Now, in the Two of Pentacles, there's some change, literally. We see a figure, and it looks like they are juggling two pentacles. Behind them we have waves and ships rising up and falling with the waves. So what can we surmise about this card? Let's use our technique. 1, we see pentacles, so we know it's going to have to do with the material world. 2, we see somebody juggling the pentacles, so that's the interaction. They're juggling. There's also a lemniscate, an infinity symbol around the pentacles. So what can we, step 3, how can we interpret that to be a relationship with the element? This is somebody that's literally juggling their physical stuff, their financial reality, or their physical reality. And what we can further infer from the ships behind them is that this is somebody that is moving or in motion. This could be a card about relocation because of the ships. It can also be about just making changes to your finances or making changes to your priorities in the physical world, the energy that you put out. You know, even though consciousness is infinite, you know, there's only so much time in a day in terms of the matrix of name, form, and function that we project onto reality. There's only 24 hours. So this is somebody who's shifting their priorities or maybe can't make a decision that involves their money, their priorities, their efforts, their physical body. That's another thing with the suit of Pentacles, is that the suit of Pentacles is very much about work. It's about effort. Whereas the suit of Wands is also about work, the suit of Wands is more about work that results from your passions and your purpose. Suit of Pentacles is more the work that is required to stay alive, you know? So it's kind of the day job. And speaking of day jobs, we see 3 day jobs in the 3 of Pentacles. So let's use our technique. Pentacles, we know it's going to involve money, work, service, physical, all that stuff. And then we notice the scene. We have 3 people that look to be from 3 different cultures or specifically professions. It looks like we have like a priestly figure, an architect, a planner of some sort, and we have the pentacles which are carved out into this archway. So what we can infer is that these 3 people are working on building some sort of location, and we find the pentacles in the location. So the work, the money, the effort that we're looking at is built into the architecture, which these 3 people are planning. And thus, this card is about people coming together to collaborate efforts to build something physical. It's a card of work. It's a card of teamwork makes the dream work, and it's about different pieces coming together to make something larger than the sum of its parts. Now, if you were to keep on building and keep on building and keep on expanding your wealth, you would eventually lead to the 4 of Pentacles. So let's use our technique. What do we notice? Pentacles, so we know we're dealing with money, wealth, the body, something related to that. Now let's notice the interaction. We have this kind of short-looking dude with 4 pentacles. 2 of them he is standing on. 1 of them he's covering his heart with, and the other is right on top of his head. So these are very important places in energy work and the chakra system. What can that say about the card? Step 3. Well, it's showing that he's taking the pentacles, which symbolize wealth, and he's covering these essential life places in his body. So we interpret this as somebody who is attached more so to their wealth or to their physical or financial situation than their actual life. This is somebody who is quite literally covered with coins, and everything he is touching besides his clothes is a coin, is a pentacle. So this card is traditionally interpreted as the card of the miser, the card of greed. It goes so much deeper than that, but we'll get to that in another video. Now, the very opposite of the 4 of Pentacles is the 5 of Pentacles. So let's use our technique. We see pentacles, so we know we're dealing with something related to body, wellness, health, money, finances, the physical world. Okay, now let's look at the interaction. What do we see here? It looks like we see 2 impoverished people that aren't doing so hot. This person has a bandaged leg and crutches. This person looks cold. It looks like it's snowing, and yet behind them there's a glass window where we find our pentacles. So you might say, Joe, well, how do we interpret the interaction in a scene like this? Notice how there really isn't an interaction between the pentacles and the stained glass and the impoverished people outside. They are simply passing the pentacles of the glass window. But we must ask, what is inside this glass window? A lot of people interpret it to be a church, you know, maybe a place where they can find food or shelter. But why aren't they in the church? So this is a card where wealth and health and material security exist, but not for a specific group of people. They are literally outside of the place that can give them what they need. Thus, this is a card of lacking all of these material securities: money, health, shelter, food. That's why it is esoterically called the Lord of Material Trouble. Now, to balance the extremes of the past two cards, we arrive at the Six of Pentacles. Those people that lacked so much material security may have found a donor, may have found a philanthropist. In this card, the pentacles are in the air. So this is one of two cards where the pentacles are floating. So we may interpret this as an abstract message. We see somebody giving coins to a beggar right here, but also holding a balance. That balance may signify the fairness and importance of philanthropy, but it can also signify a contradiction between the imbalanced pentacles above. We have 3 pentacles on one side, 2 pentacles on the other side, and then this guy down here has a little red slip. If you might not be able to see it, but a red slip may signify royalty and wealth. Same color as this guy's cloak right here. So on the surface, yeah, this card is about generosity and giving and donating and philanthropy, but deeper, there's an imbalance going on. And this is where it gets interesting. If you notice all of the sixes here, in every card, there is an imbalance. There's one person above, one person below. In the Six of Wands, we have the leader. In the Six of Cups, we have the gift giver. In the Six of Swords, we have somebody helping the refugees. And in the Six of Pentacles, we have the philanthropist. Literally on the card, there is someone above and someone below. Why is that? That is because all the sixes are connected with Tiferet, which is the central sephira on the tree of life in the Hermetic Kabbalah. When you connect tarot to Kabbalah and a number of other mystical traditions, everything connects so much more easily. Not just for reading the cards and divination, but building a holistic relationship with the higher mysteries. When you study these systems, Kabbalah, astrology, Neoplatonism, numerology, the list goes on, it not only builds a more solid tarot practice, but you get to confront your essential being. Like, what are we doing here? You know, what is reality? Like, what's this all about? Why is there something and not nothing? Luckily, we have thousands of years of sages, philosophers, and mystics that have a lot of amazing things to say. If you want to learn that deeper work, go to tarotmysticismacademy.com. I have a number of courses that cover so much, and tools and techniques to use to live a more peaceful and integrated life. But anyway, let's get back to our suit of pentacles. So in the Seven of Pentacles, we notice that the pentacles are hiding inside of this like bush or the shrub or whatever it is. And this guy is looking down on them and he's kind of resting on this staff or this hoe. It looks like a hoe. It looks like he was, what's the word? Raking? Hoeing? I don't know what the verb is for a hoe, but whatever he was doing, I'm sorry, I'm the farthest thing from like a farmer. Whatever he was doing, he's looking at these pentacles thinking, damn, I only got one pentacle. I worked all day and I could only get one lousy little pentacle from this bush. And so he's looking at his work like that. What do pentacles symbolize? Work, effort, money, stuff. So with all of, he's looking at his efforts and he's seeing what he's getting from his efforts, and they're so little. And you can see just between his legs, there's a little mountain, which suggests the great work, which is far away from him. So this is a card of evaluating your work, evaluating your efforts, and taking a pause to see, like, what are my efforts doing for me? What money, what reward am I getting out of them? What's the ROI? And there's other mysteries in this card too, but that's what this journal is for. So what you can do is you can write out the element, earth, write out the relationship between the suit symbol and the scene, and then below that, write your meanings. Okay, Eight of Pentacles, let's use our technique. What suit symbol do we see? Pentacles. What does that mean? Earth, body, money, efforts. And what is the interaction? So we have somebody who is working on crafting, literally creating these pentacles. Looks like he's had a lot. We have a whole row of pentacles to the side of the card, and then he's working on this one, which he will likely add to the collection. So what can we surmise from this? This is somebody who has repeated the crafting process of the pentacle multiple times. This is somebody who is refining their skills. What do the pentacles symbolize? Effort. This is somebody who is refining their efforts in a specific craft to ultimately attain mastery. Now, if you interpret the pentacles as money, this is somebody who is working consistently on money. And usually the Eight of Pentacles is like the apprenticeship or the learning or the mastering phase of a specific craft or vocation, whereas the Three of Pentacles is having mastered that, being employed, being commissioned by other people and making your living. And when you've mastered your craft, and when you've expanded your business, and when you've accomplished everything you want to materially, you get the Nine of Pentacles. Let's use our technique. Pentacles symbolize money, wealth, material stability. Step 2, let's notice the interaction. We have a woman who has one hand resting on the pentacles. The other hand, she has a bird resting on her hand. So the bird symbolizes the discipline that she needed to accumulate all of this wealth. And when she's in a beautiful garden, she's alone. This is independent woman that needs no man. So there she is, resting literally on her own efforts, because pentacles are efforts, resting on her own wealth, on her own money, on her own work ethic that brought her to this point. It's a beautiful card, says the Capricorn. All right, last card is the Ten of Pentacles. This is a very deep card, very deep. So much stuff here that I can't get into, but to be brief, the Ten of Pentacles, we see the pentacles floating in the air, and we see them in the design of the Tree of Life, the Kabbalistic map of reality, God, the map to God, however you want to interpret that. And then we see in the interaction, there's really no interaction with the pentacles. They're just floating there abstractly, but that's very important. I'll get to that in a second. First, let's look at the scene. We have what seems to be this patriarch figure, this old man, and then there's this little child on the side. And the little child is petting a dog. The dogs are looking at the old man. And then we have adults in between the child and the old man that are in an archway. Okay, now remember in the beginning in the Ace of Pentacles, I said whenever you see an archway, that is the gate into life or death, from death to life or from life to death. This archway right here is not just a gate into civilization like in the card, it is the very gate into life or the gate into death. And you can see that because on one side we have the old man who's getting closer to death, who is connected to the dogs, which are a symbol of Cerberus, right? And then we have the young child who is also close to death, having recently been born on the other side of the archway, potentially. And we see this link between life and death. And all the time, all of this happening, nobody notices the 10 pentacles that are floating in the design of the Tree of Life. And that's essentially to say, in life and death, in this groove, in this rhythm between life and death that our souls are dancing to, not everybody notices the Tree of Life, which is essentially our eternal connection to Source, God consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Okay, Joe, but what does that have to do with a reading? Well, in a reading, this is a card of civilization. It's a card of wealth. It's a card of prosperity and inheritance and tradition and cities and busyness but specifically the contrast between our involvement with the world and all its complexity and all its busyness and all of its arbitrary temptations and desires and challenges, and it's the contrast between that and the unchanging, ultimately simple, purely eternal consciousness being that simply is. See, the tarot is a map of the mystical path. And if you really want to dig into it, check out tarotmysticismacademy.com. Maybe we'll work together, and if so, I'm really excited to show you. Make sure you watch Class 6 when it is released. That will be a class on the court cards and how we can use these awesome techniques to start reading them. I know court cards can be challenging for people, but this technique will make it so much easier. I can't wait. Much love. I'll see you in the next wormhole.